Yo guys, what's going on? My name's Matt and I invest in Pokemon cards. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how I, as a Pokemon card investor, like to approach card shows. Now, this video is not going to be bring a backpack, bring water, wear deodorant, even though you should do all three of those things, please. This video is going to be more about the 3 reasons why you should be attending card shows as a Pokemon card investor and 4 rules to prepare for your first card show. Guys, card shows are probably one of the best things that the Pokemon card hobby has to offer besides the actual cards. I love them. I look forward to them all week long, and I hope after this video you will too. Now let's get right into it. There's 3 reasons why you should attend Pokemon card shows. Reason number 1 is because you're looking to get cards at or below market price. When you buy cards online, you have to pay the shipping and you also have to pay the tax. Obviously, you don't have to do this if you attend the Pokemon card show. Not only that, you can do package deals with vendors and you can also haggle with vendors in order to get the best price possible. Reason number 2 is because you're looking at the condition of cards. Condition, condition, condition. This cannot be understated. You need to get the best possible condition cards as you can, especially in Modern. Now, when it comes time to sell these cards, it'll make it much easier if you have really nice conditioned cards. Also, you can obviously send them into PSA if you feel that they're worthy of that and, create even more value for yourself down the line. So condition, 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 it means a lot in the Pokemon card hobby, especially in Pokemon card investing. Reason number 3 you would want to attend a Pokemon card show is to make connections. This is probably the most important reason. I've made a lot of connections with vendors over the years, and those connections have led to deals where I've gotten way more money for cards than I originally would have gotten if I just walked up to a table. Let's say I had a card that a vendor was really looking for because they had a buyer for it. They were able to give me 90, 92, 93% for the card, which is really great for somebody that predominantly sells in person or on eBay, where if I sell on eBay, I'll probably get 87%. So I would not have been able to do something like that if it weren't for the connections that I've made. It also works the other way around. I've messaged vendors and I've said, I'm looking for this card. Do you happen to have it, etc. And, they'll maybe find, if they don't have it, they'll find somebody that does and they'll be able to make a deal for me. So having connections is really important. Guys, the Pokemon card hobby is exploding right now, but it's also a very small world. Make connections. They'll go a long way within this hobby. So I have 4 rules for attending a card show. Rule number 1 is to pick a lane. Guys, let's say there's 500,000 cards in a Pokemon card show at once. You attend the show, you don't have a plan, you don't have a lane, meaning you're not an expert in a certain area of Pokemon cards. You are now open to buying all 500,000 of those cards. You are going to have shiny object syndrome. You're going to walk up to a vendor and everything is going to be for sale. Instead, if you become an expert in one area, now half of the cards that a vendor is selling just become noise, right? I focus on modern singles, right? Especially in the Mega Evolution block. Let's say that the vendor has 100 cards within their booth. Now they only have 20 Mega Evolution singles from the modern era. I'm only focusing on those 20 cards. The other 80 are just noise. I don't need to look at them. The vendor can't entice me to buy them because that's not the reason why I'm there and I'm not an expert in them. So when I make a purchase, I feel like I made an informed purchase. I'm not going to leave the card show and say, maybe I shouldn't have bought that. Maybe I FOMO'd into that. Man, I got hyped up. My adrenaline was pumping because it was one of my first deals, etc. Become an expert in an area. I know people that only sell vintage slabs. I know people that only sell Charizard, Pikachu. People only buy cards that are under $5 and they're trying to hit that home run. I just recently met a guy at a show that only invests in these mega hyper rares from the Mega Evolution block. Pick a lane. If you pick a lane, you'll also have more conviction within your picks. Now, I know that we are going through a summer slowdown right now in Pokemon cards. If we look at this Froakie, right, obviously a lot of cards from Chaos Rising have gone down pretty steeply, right? I mean, I was buying this card for 20 bucks. It's now down to 11. Again, a surprising thing. This Meowth was 34 recently in May, and now it's all the way down to 21. An excellent buy, in my opinion. Again, this Piplup really going down. I just recently picked up one. Love this card. Clefairy, another card where I did not think this card was going to go down, and it did. That brings up buying opportunities. However, when you become an expert in an area and pick your lane, you can pick up on certain patterns that other people that are a jack of all trades would not. Let me give you an example. This Enzoroark, we're in a summer slowdown, right? This card is holding steady. In May, it was 177. It's now about to be $200, right? Again, this Meowth, steady increase. And then obviously in the summer slowdown, it's staying right around that $180 area. Mega Gardevoir, in the beginning of June, it was 192. Now we're starting to see it pick up above that $200 range. I love this card, right? Again, this Mega Latias really just staying steady. This doesn't mean necessarily that these cards are going to go up, but it's a pattern and it's information that you can use in order to make a better decision when you go to a card show and think about the cards that you want to purchase at that show. And I would not have picked up on any of these patterns if I focused on everything and was trying to be a jack of all trades. I've been that, right? I know people that have as well, right? What ends up happening with that is you'll go to a show and now every card is open to you. You'll get shiny object syndrome. I had a friend, let's call him Lou. I went with Lou to a card show. He said, Matt, I'm really not going to buy anything today. Probably won't buy anything at all. I just want to, see what you do, look over your shoulder, see how you interact with vendors, etc. Sure, no problem. Right, we're going through the show, and then all of a sudden he says, Matt, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at a couple of different tables, saw some things I might like. I said, okay, no problem. Now, Lou had a budget of $200. He comes back, he said, Matt, I spent $1,000. That's what happens when you are a jack of all trades and you're not an expert in a certain area, because he felt awful about that, right? He was buying cards from Sword and Shield. He was buying cards from Destined Rivals. He bought some vintage cards, right? Pick a lane and stay in it. When you make purchases, even if you even go above your budget, you'll feel better about those purchases because you have conviction with those picks. Think about it. All right, guys. So rule number 2 is to have a plan before you walk in the door. What I mean by this is I like to do a tier list. Now, your tier list could be anything. This is a tier list that I made in a recent video for my subscribers where we're doing a $100 a week Pokemon card investing challenge. And what I did was I picked some cards within the Mega Evolution block that are under $100 that I felt were some of the best plays within this Mega block. Now, I put them in a tier list because when I'm looking for cards at a card show, I want to be as precise and have a plan before I even pay my entry fee for this card show. Now, I know that I'm looking for these S tier cards at all times, right? I know how many of each copy of the cards that I have. I know the price of every card. Something to think about when going into a card show, especially in my area, is that these buildings, for some reason that they choose, do not have good cell service. I see a lot of people that don't know the comps or the value of cards, and they end up, not making a great deal because they thought, hey, I think it was $50, and then they end up paying, $58 for it. And then they look after the show and they're like, dang, I shouldn't have done that, right? But if you know in your head, if you focus in and hyper focus in on these certain set of cards, you'll know the price without the need for your phone. For example, I know this Squirtle is $31, $32, right? I know that this Zacian is about $3.80. So if I see it for $6, maybe I can X for a deal from the vendor. I know this Marshadow's $18. I know this Clefairy, like we just saw, is around the $22 mark. I know this Latios is $92, $93. I know that this Mega Lucario is around the $18 mark, etc. Piplup, 16, Meowth, 22, etc. So I just know off the top of my head all the values of these cards. That way, when I approach a table and I see some of these cards, I'm like, this guy's overvalued. He's, over market. Or this guy's at market. Hey, this guy's actually a few dollars below market, right? So you'll be able to make better decisions on the fly just because these are the cards that I'm hyper focusing on. I know everything about them. I know which cards maybe are a little bit harder to find in good condition. For example, this Gengar, I've been looking for one. It's very off-center. A lot of the ones that I see are very off-center. Now, if I didn't hyper focus on these cards from this Mega Block, and especially these cards, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have picked up on that. So one of the first things I look at when looking for one of these Gengars is to find one that is really nicely centered. So have a plan. Make a tier list. Say, hey, I really want to pick up one of these S tier cards today. I want to pick up, I'm looking for this Mega Clefable. That's what happened in the other week. I really wanted this Mega Clefable. I went into the card show with a mission and everything else just became noise. You could have stuck any card in my face and I would have been like, nah, it's not a Mega Clefable. I'm good. Also, guys, not every vendor puts every card that they have on the table. For example, I found this Mega Clefable at a vendor, and when I asked him for it, he said, sure, I also have some other copies. So he handed me a few more copies that he didn't have out, and I was able to compare all of them and find the nicest one out of all 5. So that's just a small tip to get the most out of your Pokemon investing or out of these Pokemon card shows, is to have a plan. So number 3 is to have a budget. Now, your budget can be whatever benefits you. My budget is $100 a week for this Pokemon card investing challenge. Now, when you have a budget, it's even easier to go ahead and make a plan, right? So I have $100 to spend at a show. I'm looking for this Mega Gengar. I know that it's around $72, $73. I'll approach a few stands and they all have it at 80, 82. Maybe I can haggle this guy down if it's a really good price. But then I see it at a table for 72. It's really nicely centered. I get it for 70. That's piece 1 of the puzzle. Now I go, okay, I spent $70. I have, $30 left. Oh, I know that maybe I can get a Marshadow for around 20, and maybe I can pick up, 2 or 3 copies of Zacian, or I can just pick up, hey, you know what? This Mimikyu is around $28. I could probably just pick up 1 nice copy of it. I can haggle and get a Squirtle for $30, right? So it just makes it so much easier to approach these card shows with a plan, and you're not going to end up spending way above your budget and feel bad about it after. Guys, I've been at card shows, I've walked out, I felt really bad about the card show, and that should never happen within the Pokemon card space. This is supposed to be fun. You want to have as much fun as possible, and making bad deals is not fun at all. You're going to feel bad about it. It stings. It's actually part of the process. You will make bad deals, and it's actually a good thing that you do because you learn from it. Guys, you're never going to be perfect, right? You're never going to not make a bad deal. It will happen. When it does happen, think of it as a learning experience. So rule number 4 is to know what you have. This drives me up a wall. This has to do with when you want to sell your cards, right? So I watch a lot of these vendor videos, and people will go up to a vendor, right? I was just watching Clover Cards. People will go up to Clover Cards and they'll be like, hey, I'm looking to sell these. He'll be like, what are you looking to get? And people will go, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You want to sell a card and you don't know what you have? You don't know how much it's worth? You don't know recent comps? Guys, think about it. If you didn't have cell service, like I said before, which a lot of these card shows don't, that's going to make it really hard, right? To not only form a connection with the vendor, but make a really great deal that you feel good about, right? Go up to these tables. What I like to do, let's say I'm ready to sell all of these cards, right? So I just purchased all of these cards, my recent card show on Saturday, right? So what I would like to do, let's say I'm ready to sell them, right? I'll go through TCG Player and I'll say, hey, I have 3 Clefairies that I want to sell, right? I'll see it's $24.46 on the back of the card, right? On the back of it with a Sharpie, I'm going to write 25 or even 24, whatever you want to do, right? I'm going to write 25 on it. When I go up to the vendor, what you want to do is say, I'm looking for this value, right? I comped all of these cards out at, let's say, $1,000, right? I'm looking for 85%. I'm looking for 80%. I'm looking for 82%. Right. It obviously depends on what you have and what you're looking to offload to the vendor. But I want you to think about the person that goes up to the vendor and goes, I don't really know what I want for this card. Or the person that goes up to the vendor and says, hey, I have this stack of cards here. They're in near mint quality. There's about 20 cards here. I value them at $1,000. I have the prices on the back. They're the most recent TCG Player listings from yesterday and even this morning. I'm looking for about 82% on them, so about $820 because I value them at $1,000. Would you be willing to do that? Now, who would you want to make a connection with, and who would you rather do a deal with? I know who I would pick, right? And I know who a lot of vendors would prefer. So don't be that guy that goes up and doesn't know what he has or what she has. It's really important to be knowledgeable so you don't feel like when you get in your car that you got taken advantage of or made a bad deal. I've been there. Everybody's been there. You will be there too. This video is trying to help you prevent that. But like I said before, it's all part of the process. It's all about learning. So guys, know what you have. Again, the 4 rules. Pick a lane, Have a plan before you walk in, have a budget, and know what you have. Guys, I'll see you at the next card show. I hope to see you there. I can't wait to go. See you guys later. Peace.